I'm Kevin Coleman with Football Guys, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys a little preview, way too early preview of the 23 quarterback class, going over my top 4 quarterbacks of the class, and giving you guys some names to watch there. We're going to be looking at what they do well, a little bit of scouting, a little bit of like, hey, just intangible stuff, where that goes from. And I think it's time. We're in this dynasty market now. We're, in the playoffs, we're in the thick of it. You're going to start shifting gears into your rookie class, your picks, all of that. So we're going to dive into that. And I think we can give you guys at Football Guys a little bit of a different perspective of these class because we haven't just dived into these the last 2 weeks and said, oh, these are our top 5. We've been watching these classes, me, Christian Williams, Jeff Bell with our college football show. All the work that we have with the college side is like I've been watching these prospects for 3 or 4 years now. I watched Bryce Young when he played in high school. So these are guys that I've been watching for a long period of time, and I think we can give you a unique perspective of their dynasty value here at the channel. So let's dive in. So let's look at the first guy. Let's just talk about it. So who's our way too early quarterback one of this class, and what does it look like? So for me, it's Bryce Young. And so when we're talking about what Bryce does, you can see there just the numbers overall. Like you saw him there. He won the Heisman in 2021. So when you're looking at what he did with the Heisman, obviously he stepped up that year, right? 4,872 yards, 47 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Then this last year, a little bit of a struggle in terms of what he kind of struggled with in terms of just the yards wasn't there. Now, I will say his receiving core and everything there was kind of a struggle this year in terms of just what he usually dealt with. Their best receiver is probably Jahmyr Gibbs, and we'll be talking about him in the dynasty landscape as well. But Gibbs is a running back. So when we're thinking of what Bryce had to deal with there, he has struggled, and they have struggled in that offense on the outside. But he still was able to do that. You see his interceptions went down. Now, in terms of what he does, or just in terms of what his draft capital is right now. So right now, and again, expected draft capital will change. You definitely need to check out mock draft database. And what it does is it puts all the mocks of every industry guy together, and it gives you guys an idea of what draft capital is. Use it right now. This is such a value, guys, for you guys in your dynasty leagues, because you can kind of see where this draft capital is. It's not going to be perfect, but it can kind of help you gauge and make a big board. Now, his expected draft capital is top 5. Now, the lowest I've seen him go is the Panthers, like at 6 or 7. Highest is number 1 pick, right? So we're thinking of where that. Now, his rookie draft value is at 101 to 103. I would probably, in Superflex, he's definitely going to be argumented for 101 or 102. In one quarterback, he'll slip a little bit. Obviously, that's just the nature of the beast of one quarterback. But most dynasty leagues are Superflex, so these values represent that. So that's his rookie draft value right now. Probably him, Bijan, and Stroud are in their tier. They're their own. Now, what does Bryce do well? What does he struggle with a little bit? So one thing that he does extremely well is processing. Now, I've kind of written about it. I've talked about it. He's one of the best processors of the game. He's aware. He knows where everything's supposed to be as a prospect. He does extremely well playmaking-wise, out of structure. So his out of structure playmaking is off the charts. His accuracy all across the field, that's his strength. Intermediate, and short areas of field, he is one of the most accurate quarterbacks there. One thing that I think is the knock on him is his size. Hey, is he going to be even 200 pounds? I don't know. 194 is what he's listed at, 190. Like that is going to be there. Is he really 6 foot? Probably not. He's probably around 5'10", 5'11". So, and we've seen it times and times before. Like he misses throws sometimes because he's throwing to spots, not to his receivers. Part of that's probably because he can't see them. There is some size concerns there. We see with Kyler, we see with those guys. Now, his timing too, I think that's part of his limitations, like size, then timing. He doesn't always get his timing down because I think sometimes that size limits him. So the biggest knock on Bryce is going to be that size. Like that's going to be the number one thing that you have for him. Now, my QB2 going through here, CJ Stroud. So you're looking at Stroud, what he's able to do. 4,000 yards in 2021. 2022 had 3,340 yards. You look at the touchdowns interception rate. Obviously, this year, he didn't have the year that we thought, but we still have time because he's playing in the college football playoff before this video comes out. If he goes and beats Georgia, he's going to be the number 1 pick. Pretty simple. He could change his own narrative. Now, right now, when you're looking at expected draft capital, top 15, his rookie draft value, again, though, is still in the 101 to 104 mark if he's a super flex. Like, you're looking at it, he's in the clear tier with him, Bijan, and Bryce, in my opinion. Now, overall, as a prospect, what does he do well? So let's talk about what he does well. His size, he has that size frame. So he's not like Bryce where we're like, oh, he's done that. 6'3", 218. He holds it really well. He's a pretty good athlete. His accuracy is really good. You'll notice throws that he makes. One of his best throws was against Iowa this year. Like you're going to see those type of different throws that he does. He can get it out. He gets it out quick. Gets to all areas of the field too. Like he can make throws and windows and accuracy to all levels. It's not just like even deep throws. Like he has it. Teams, we're kind of pressuring him a little bit. We're going to talk about the processing thing. So we see that, but he has that accuracy there. And his decision making is really good. He does not go and and to his detriment sometimes, he does not push the ball to areas where he doesn't think he can get it to, right? He doesn't make unnecessary risks. That's why you see his interception numbers the way they are. Now, you maybe like him take a little bit more risk, believe in himself a little bit more, but he has good decision making. Now, the one knocks that he's going to have is processing. Teams were on a lot of cover 2 against him, taking away the man-to-man, especially for his receivers. They weren't doing that very well, so he struggled with that. So there's one thing that he did, he just struggled with that. He struggled with that defense. He struggled with elite defenses when they disguise coverages. So I think that's the biggest concern there. And then there's been some concern with leadership. Now, I will just mention this. I hate when people say this about quarterbacks, especially people that don't know them. But this is something we have to take into play. Like on the sidelines, his demeanor, how he acts. Like I think there's going to be some noise about this. So I think you have to just understand that's kind of where you're at. Now, I do want to make sure I mention this. Those are my top 2. And I feel like there's a tier there. Like when you're thinking of these quarterbacks, CJ Bryce, tier. Right? Because the next 2 guys that I have, they have legitimate concerns, right? So we have Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, who I think are going to be top 10 picks just based on the quarterback landscape where they're at. And then we're going to have 2 guys here that we don't know necessarily where they're going to fit. So let's go to the first guy. Anthony Richardson is going to be my QB3 for now. And I think this is just a fantasy perspective. This is not a draft perspective. This is fantasy. And the reason why is because his rushing ability. I know that he's limited as a passer, 53% completion percentage. We see that, right? Yeah, 2,500 yards passing, but really where his bread and butter is going to be is rushing. 654 yards, 9 touchdowns this year. He is the best athlete out here. And he has 2 games on the season where he threw for at least 400 yards. And he showed that upside. We saw it. But then again, he's had games where he had, a 33% completion percentage against Florida State. So, yeah, he's going to be dual threat, but at the same time, you worry about that, right? Now, his expected draft capital is late first. I've seen him go all over the map in terms of this. I've seen him as a top 15 pick. I saw a mock draft, had him at 101. Then I saw him go in the second round of the Giants. So, expected draft capital, I think it's fair to put him as a late first. His rookie draft value, 108 to 112. He's in there. I will say this about Anthony Richardson. And this is a mock that we did, and I want to just make sure this. I always try to bring you guys stuff that we're going to kind of talk about. We had a mock, and we did a 2023 rookie mock, and we said, okay, with landing spots. He went in the second round. When he went in the second round, he still got drafted at the 107 based on upside. People actually, his draft capital did not worry with somebody. They said, hey, if you're going to go to the Giants, he's going to maybe get in there with the ball, and he's going to have those. Like, he's going to get there. So that's the value that Richardson has. Now, just real quick in the scouting, athleticism, yeah, boom. Got to check that box out of the way. Best athletic ability here. And people are going to say, like, oh, look what happened to Malik Willis. He is not even close to the prospect that Richardson was, right? Malik Willis is not even close to Richardson. So don't let those kind of, comps scare you. That's just wrong. Now, rushing, he's going to have that arm strength. He has one of the best arms in this class. Like he can sling it 70 yards. Now, we don't know where it's going to go all the time. So that's the accuracy, right? We don't know where that's going to go, but he can definitely sling it. And then reps, like, some people are scouts. I've already seen it. Todd McShay's brought it up. He just didn't have the reps. They need to see him get more reps, and they just didn't do that. So I think that's going to be a key. And in mechanics, I do think, like, in the pocket mechanics, little things like that need to be weeded out. Like, he's got to get those things fixed, his hips, getting across his body, like little stuff like that. He's always been able to build on that athleticism. And I think sometimes he uses that athleticism a little bit too much, and he's always kind of relied on that. Now he can't, right? The next level. So landing spot's going to be very, very important for Anthony Richardson. Where does he go? If he goes to the Giants, I like that a lot more than if he goes to a team that's just not going to be able to develop him, right? Now, my last guy, my 4th quarterback, Will Levis right now, 6'3", 232. He's got the size. You like that. You see the numbers on the board. He's the older prospect here, right? When we're thinking of where he came from. He played at Penn State, then transferred over to Kentucky. Now, his expected draft capital, again, top 20 right now. Not necessarily like perfect in terms of where his draft capital is going to be. He's been mocked to the Indianapolis Colts. He just feels like a Colts quarterback all day. So we think in top 20, it's where it's going to be. I think rookie draft value is late first, but in that same mock that we just did, for the purpose of this video to help you out where value's at, he actually went at the 202. So we're thinking that he went in the second round, even though he got first round draft capital, where Richardson went in the first. And I think that's value. So it's up to you. Like, do you want to wait on your quarterback and say, I'm just going to wait? And if I can get a guy like, Bijan, or if I can get somebody like JSN or some of these guys, Addison, Quentin Johnson in the first round, and then grab Will Levis in the second round, that might be the, your value. That might be the way you go. Now, as a quarterback, what does he do well? He's got the size, he's got the frame, arm strength, he's got that. Like, you're going to hear every time you hear this in this process, you should, have to place a bet or whatever. You're going to hear tools. He's got tools, man. Levis has got tools. That's what you're going to hear, because he got the size, he got the arm strength, he's got the leadership. Like, he actually does have all those intangibles, and you got to love that because teammates love him, and you see that. right? Now, on the flip side, his awareness is really bad. When you watch him play, like he does not look good. He locks onto his pre-snap reads. He has many of his bad throws coming from his unwillingness to check into other routes. He kind of relies on that arm strength a little bit too much, kind of like the opposite of Stroud. He hesitates on throws. He has timing issues because of that, right? He hesitates, hey, where is it going to be? And I think his processing is really, really where is the red flag for me. So that's the question mark with Levis. That's why I kind of dip him down. Because when we think of Anthony Richardson, we're looking at an elite athlete. Hey, can go score his rushing points, right? When we're thinking of what he can do. But then you got Levis here, who he's an okay athlete. He's not a terrible athlete. He's a functional athlete, off platform. But when you're looking at weaknesses wise, like that processing thing is something that scares me with NFL quarterbacks. And quarterback is a position not everybody can hit on, but that's really going to scare me in terms of prospects. So there's our top 4 guys. Now, other guys are going to go out. Max Duggan from TCU, Heisman finalist, playing Michigan. He declared he's going to the Senior Bowl. So that's the guy to keep on. Jaron Hall from BYU. There's a few other guys. Bo Nix decided to go back to school, so he's not going to be in there. Hendon Hooker's coming off an ACL tear from Tennessee. So there is some prospects in this class. But right now, way too early, 23, prospects. What we're looking at, we have Bryce, CJ, Tier, Richardson, and Levis. That's how I would kind of play those 4 quarterbacks. And that's how I would look at this capital. But again, hit that like and subscribe button. Follow our college football show. We're going to be pumping these out. We're going to be looking at all these prospects in full starting in January. We already started on our last show. We already dived into these prospects and the declares and kind of went into their profiles. We will be doing that every show. We go live on Wednesday nights at 9 Eastern, so check that out. But again, hit that like and subscribe button. Here is the class, the quarterback class. Here's who we have. We know that there's a quarterback issue in the NFL, so these are the guys you should know. So hit that like and subscribe button. We appreciate you guys here at Football Guys.